Hi, everyone. Welcome to Module 12. So this week we're going to be talking about de-radicalization, and I'd like to highlight a gentleman named Robert Milton. Robert Milton, Bob Milton, is the former commander of Special Scotland Yard. For years, he's come to the college and given lectures on de-radicalization and international terrorism. It's been a great opportunity, but he retired a couple of years ago. So all I have is his lessons and the hours of conversations that we had to kind of be able to give back to you. So in his years of experience in Special Scotland Yard, he investigated for roughly 30 years the IRA in direct connection with England. And for those of you that have done all the readings on the IRA, you'll understand the difference and how important the IRA and counterterrorism was to England and specifically London. So when he retired, he created this company that specialized in going into communities and helping law enforcement and national governments de-radicalize their population. And he had tremendous success in Indonesia, and which is an Islamic radicalized area of the world. And he was able to go in there. And honestly, he made significant strides. You can search all of this information on the internet in de-radicalizing the population of Indonesia, those that were radicalized. And he did this by focusing his attention on the women. He had a philosophy that if he could change a woman, he could change a generation. So he put all of his efforts into addressing the needs of the women in the community while respecting their religious beliefs. And as time went on, he made significant strides, and to the point that the government honored him with their highest government award for peace. And it's really something to be used as a case study when we talk about de-radicalizing. Now, maybe his approach might have worked in Indonesia, a third world country. It may work here in the United States, but the idea is that for Americans, we tend to look at things in the immediate need or the immediate gratification. And if things take a long time, we tend to lose interest in them. The pandemic is a great example. The need to stay home, wear a mask, all of that stuff, that was fine back in March and April. But now, as we've moved forward and you look back at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, we look at the waning or the what we call pandemic fatigue. And people started to just ignore it and go out. It's not going to, even if I get it, it's not going to be that bad. We made excuses for not following through with the guidelines. The same thing happens with any topic that takes a long time and when we try to apply it here in the United States. De-radicalization is not something that it's not a flick of the switch. It's not turning the light on and off. It's something that needs to be done over generations. If you look at American history and you look at the racism during the 1860s and the segregation and the civil rights movement and Black Lives Matter movement, we're talking nearly 170 years later and we still have racism in this country. We all know that it exists. We all talk about it. We learn it in history books, but it still exists. This is that long drawn out thing that even generationally, it takes a little bit at a time to ebb away and to change mindset. Same thing occurs with de-radicalization. Mindset needs to be changed, and it doesn't necessarily need to be changed just all on the radical side. It also needs to be changed on what we consider contemporary society. When we look at the, the previous lessons of this course, I spent a significant amount of time trying to teach you about Islam. Now, know thy enemy, know thyself it's art of war, General Zhao's concept of you cannot win a battle if you don't know your enemy. That is part of the lesson of this course, is to know thy enemy. In other words, you can build a response if you understand them. But at the same time, we made a little bit more strides in you understanding who they were and kind of accepting that there are two sides to Islam. There's a radical side, and then there's a peaceful, loving side. Just like there are peaceful, loving Christians and there are radical, crazy Christians. It's in every aspect of our lives. There are always going to be two polar ends. So when we look at de-radicalization, we need to look at it in the lens of who we are today and what we want, in other words, and what we want to accomplish to end the terror. It may mean meeting them halfway in giving them a voice at the table. Well, I hope you enjoy this week. And if you have any questions, as always, please feel free to reach out to me.